7-day challenge with a goal to drop a song a day until the end of the year. I drop 7 songs every Friday. Every Friday. 7 songs. So link in description if you want to check that out. Link in description. Link in description. Link in description. It's like I only whisper at the beginning of the video, and then the whispers it gets quite loud after that. You got 2 minutes of whispers, you know? You got 2 minutes of whispers. So don't be like, this guy doesn't whisper in these videos. Yeah, I gave you 2 minutes. It's not nothing. Okay, I've got some things I want to talk about today. I'm gonna write it down because I want to give you writing sounds. I thought about writing it down before the video, but I was like, nah, then you give them writing sounds. Okay, so as per usual, we're going to be talking about relationships. 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 Particularly male leadership. Fulfilling roles and leading by example. Coercion versus what's the word I'm looking for? I'll just, for now, just go with volition. And then household duties. Finance. And then protection, I guess. Okay, let's just get into it. If there's, I'm sure anything I've forgotten will come to the front of my mind. I think I've outlined enough. I'm just looking for triggers to use in the video. This one. Okay, so I was thinking about relationships. And, you know, in a traditional relationship with the man being the head of a household, I always wonder, like, what's the best way to maintain authority, maintain leadership, right? Is it coercion, or is it basically leading by example? Because, you know, coercion is when you force people to do things, essentially. And the opposite of that would be inviting people to follow you. Inviting people to follow your lead. And I think the issue with coercion is that it's not voluntary. So when it's not voluntary and someone isn't doing it of their own volition, it can create issues down the line. It's not as efficient. You constantly have to tell them what to do and so on and so forth. You can't trust them to follow your instructions when you're not around. And you know, they might be constantly looking for a way out of your tyranny. So I think it has to be voluntary. I think people have to opt in and want to be a part of it. So then the question becomes, okay, what do you do? How do you lead by example? If you have a woman, you're married, and even before you're married, when she meets you, what about you makes her want to follow you and, you know, allow you to be the head of the family? And, you know, I think it's just about being well integrated within your masculinity, doing your job. So it's like, I think let's assume we're in a marriage. Obviously, finances have to be in order. You need to be able to provide. So be working, be good at your job. Like, put 100% into your work. You know, don't be one of these guys that works because you have to. Work for your family. Be proud that you're working for your family. Have a good work ethic. People respect good work ethic. They respect someone who does their job well. So have that attitude, and then, you know, bring home the bacon. So immediately there, I think someone was talking about how this is a personal anecdote from someone. They were talking about how before, I think his wife was earning more than him, and he wasn't getting that much sex. The moment he started earning more than her, she started sleeping with him more often, which is interesting because, you know, people will say this sort of stuff doesn't. Oh, there was a camera lag there. People say this sort of stuff doesn't matter, but I think, because I think it's the politically correct thing to say, right? We don't care about money and all these things. We don't care about these traditional things anymore. But I think deep down, people care, especially a lot of women. So when they're earning more than their husbands, look, sometimes that's just the way that that's just the way the dice rolled, I guess. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just, sometimes it's just the way it is. The industry you're in pays more. You're the wife and you earn more. It's like, it is what it is. But I think what we see is that generally speaking, women do want, like, there's just something about their husband earning more than them that's attractive, because it's that headship, that leadership, that hierarchy that's just naturally attractive. So that guy was saying, the moment he started earning more than it, he started getting more sex. There was an increased amount of respect and attraction. So that's one thing. Finances. And then, so you get that in order. So in my example, before I think about marriage, before I think about all that sort of stuff, I need to make sure my finances are in order. I don't know how far off I am from that, to be honest with you. I'm proud to say I am earning. I'm earning on YouTube at least. I'm earning something for myself. So I just need to increase that amount to a livable income. And then once I get my finances in order, that's one pillar that I've built. And then another thing in your household, so okay, if we're talking about earning respect, in your household, be active, be available, be useful. A lot of men, they provide the finances and they do all that sort of stuff, and then they think, okay, I can kick my feet up. It's like, no, I think you should then start thinking about how else can I help. If I have time to be putting my feet up, like what else can I do to be of use? So if you see that your wife is struggling in this area, struggling in that area, help. Maybe she's too busy with the kids to be cooking. You can cook, or maybe like you can see that there's a mess in this room or there's a mess in that room. You can clean up, you can mop, you can sweep, you can fold clothes, so on and so forth. Obviously, like, they are delineated, they are assigned roles. So it's like, that's not going to be your job all the time. The idea is that since you are out working and providing one, let's assume we're in a traditional structure, because that's what I want for myself. I want a housewife, to be honest with you. At least right now, that's where my head is at. So let's assume that she's at home taking care of the kids and so on and so forth. The idea is I can provide the house and all this, the financial stuff and all this stuff, so then you can maintain the house. You can take care of the kids, and obviously I'm going to help, but that is your domain. So while I can help, it is the bulk of the responsibility is yours. That being said, I should be ready and willing to assist in whatever way I can. I like cooking. It's fun. I can do that, and I look forward to cooking as well. I like the image of me cooking for my family. I think I'll enjoy that quite a lot. But I also want my wife to cook for me. I like the image of that as well, and I'm looking forward to that, right? I was watching this video. There's this YouTube channel, Kimono Mom. It's Japanese family, and she was cooking the wife was cooking a meal, and then the dad and the daughter were like sitting by the kitchen counter, just watching her, cracking jokes and whatnot. That's what I want for myself. Which is why I would like a wife that can cook, so I can experience that as well. But yeah, obviously I'm down to cook as well. Cleaning, all that sort of stuff, I can do that as well. Just to make sure that no one is ever overburdened. So I think when you can do that sort of stuff, she can see that you're kind, you're considerate, you're strong, that you can have your job and do your work, and then come home and still have energy to contribute to the household duties, the maintenance of the home. She'll respect you for that. So finance, you're getting respect there. Household duties, you're getting respect there. And then you need to be a protector as well. And there's various ways to protect your family. So protect them from my mom during COVID was like, don't get the vaccine. But we're getting into to murky territory now because I know how some of you are. But she was like, don't get the vaccine. I was like, I want to get it because, you know, the media, fear-mongering, whatnot. And I was so close to getting it. I was in another, this was 2021, I was in cooking school in another province at the time. So I was far away from home. My mom wasn't there, so I was like, I was signing up to get the vaccine online. But then the form, I think the website was buggy or something. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I exited the sign up, and then there was a mall. There was a mall where you could get a vaccine at a pharmacy, but the line was long. So I was like, I'm not doing this. So I went home. So that's the only reason I didn't get vaccinated, because I'm lazy. And then I don't know, I guess at some point I was just like, because I felt like I'd missed that opportunity, I was like, I just won't do it. And then when I got home, my mom would explain, no, don't get it, da 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 da. So I was like, okay, mom, I won't get it. And then fast forward to now, we in my country, South Africa, there have been multiple reports of vaccine injury, and there've been so many that they've created a vaccine injury fund. You can look this up. I don't know if you're gonna find. I'm sure you'll find information about it online. But South Africa has a vaccine injury fund, but it only gets paid out in the case of death. So the only people that have been paid so far are the families of the people that have died from this vaccine. But the problem was so enough to warrant an entire fund being created for the people that are injured by this vaccine. And you know, it's crazy because they were telling us, no, get it, there's nothing much safe, yada yada yada. People were pressuring people, they're making people feel like they made it seem like you're a terrible person if you don't want to get this vaccine. There's something wrong with you. People lost their jobs because they refused to get vaccinated. There was a lot of, you couldn't go to restaurants, you couldn't attend this event, that event. There was a lot of stigmatization because you didn't want to take a Pfizer vaccine or whatever vaccine. Mind you, Pfizer holds the record for the biggest settlement in pharmaceutical history, lawsuit settlement in pharmaceutical history. They paid billions and billions of dollars to people when it was found out that, this was in the early 2000s, when it was found out that they were falsely marketing their products and weren't revealing all the details about potential side effects and so on. So people got very sick, injured, some people died, and they had to pull those products off the shelf. This is the same Pfizer that then went on to make a vaccine, and many people were like, no, we're not taking that. And I don't understand how people had an issue with that. And all these pharmaceutical companies have been in court, multiple lawsuits, injuries, deaths. So it's like when people say we're not putting that in our system, there are other ways to combat this. This is not the only way to combat this virus. I don't understand why people had an issue with that. But it's media, man. It's media brainwashing. It's media just convincing people of one narrative and just discarding a whole bunch of other information. So my mom, in that sense, was a protector because, so that's one way of being a protector. She told me, don't get the vaccine, and I eventually listened to her, because I could have gotten it afterwards, but because I listened to her, I just never got it. And I'm very happy with seeing around with athletes in America, more and more cases of these young athletes with heart disease. It's a trend. People will say things like smoking, but some of these people have no history of smoking or drinking. How do you explain that? there's a growing amount of people dealing with these hard issues, and we keep trying to come up with other reasons and ignoring the most likely one. We're ignoring the common denominator here. So, I'm glad I never took it. I'm glad I listened to my mom. So as a father, as a husband, I'd want to fulfill that role. I think, imagine a father in the home being like, no, we're not taking the vaccine. Because, if my dad had, I like my mom, I respect my mom. She's a wonderful woman, a strong woman. But if my dad, I have issues. Me and my dad don't have much of a relationship at all. We haven't lived with him for many, many years. But I'll tell you now, if he was living with us and he told me, you're not getting this vaccine, I wasn't going to get it. Because I just don't want that smoke when I get home. So I think as a father, that's one way of protecting. So your philosophy becomes the household's philosophy. Everyone follows your lead. They follow your direction. So that's one way of protecting them from, the world in that sense. But then there's also physical protection. So there was a sexual predator. This happened in the States. He a child predator. He used to kidnap children and do what child predators do with children. And they caught him and they interviewed him and they asked him, like, what do you look for? How do you pick your targets? I'm forgetting, I don't know his name, but he was like, how I pick my targets is I look at the family. I look at the family unit. I don't even look at the kid. I look at the family. If there's a strong father in the household, I'll probably stay away. But if I see weakness in the father, or if there's no father at all, that's when I attack. So, he can study you for days, for weeks, however long it takes to figure out if you're a good target or not. So he looks at the dad. Is this a weak man who isn't willing to do what it takes to protect his family? Is he capable of doing what it takes to protect his family? If the answer is no, then he's more likely than not going to protect. If there's no father at all, he's going to attack. So it made me realize, like, as a father, I have to be strong in that regard. So emotionally, I have to be strong. So you can't be sensitive. So all these men that love prioritizing people's feelings over reality, and so on and so forth. So, okay, wait. I'll stick to the physical threats first, and then I'll make another point afterwards. So, I exercise, and when I've been exercising for a while now, but when I heard that story and I heard that predator talking about how he picks his targets, I was like, okay, I do need to make sure that I am strong. I need to make sure that I'm fit. I can run. I don't get too tired. I can chase someone, for example, and not get winded. I'm strong enough to hold my own in a physical situation. So I exercise regularly, and now I'm even more committed to that, so that I have enough strength to pose a threat. I'm not trying to be Dwayne Johnson or anything like that. Like, I'm not trying to be some UFC champion. I'm just trying to be strong enough to pose a threat. I thought about joining a gym, like a mixed martial arts gym, but I was like, I don't need to do that. I think if I build myself to a good size and I can get a gun and I train myself to how to use the gun, I train my wife how to use the gun. Eventually, when the kids are old, I can train them how to use guns. then I can rest assured that I not only can I protect my family, they can protect themselves. And in a sense, that is protection because you're equipping them with the ability to fend for themselves even when you're not there. So that's still a form of you protecting them. So I'm going to build my body, learn how to use guns, learn how to use like tasers and pepper spray and all these things, teach my wife the same, and when the kids are old enough, teach them the same. And then also how you carry yourself in public is important. How you carry yourself is important because the mere appearance of a threat is enough to chase people away. The appearance of a threat. Some people can see through that, but most people can't. There are a lot of guys that act tough, talk tough, but they're actually pussies. Like in South Africa, when someone pussy, you call them a puss. That just means pussy. You're a puss. But then, there are a lot of men who act tough and, they convince people that they're actually tough. But when you get to know them, you're like, oh, you're a bitch. But even though I condemn any sort of cowardice or softness of heart, I think it's important, to be courageous and be strong. I do think there is utility in that posturing. How you carry yourself is important. So it's not necessarily, you're not necessarily lying, but you're presenting an image that lets people know to stay away. That's very important. That's not necessarily, so your character is more than just your physical capabilities, right? So it's not to say that if you're posturing as a strong man, but you aren't actually strong, that you're not a good person or anything like that. No, because character is more than that. So the example I gave earlier of the men who act tough are actually bitches. They're bitches in the sense that they're just completely devoid of any virtue. Like they don't stand up for what's right. They're liars. They're rude. They're not respectful, so on and so forth. And they're probably not that strong either. But that's probably the least of their sins. But I think posturing is important. As men, I was talking about how every time I'm out and I see other men, the one thing I always think to myself when I see him, I size him up and I ask myself, could I beat him up if for some reason we end up in a fight? I think every man does this. We look at each other in public. I've seen men look at me and eye me for a very long time that is uncomfortable. And I think in his mind, he's thinking the same thing that I'm probably thinking, that would I win in a physical altercation? I've heard other men talk about this, so I know I'm not the only one that does this. So men are constantly sizing each other up. And I think it's innocent. I just think it's just a natural thing we do. But some guys do it because they want to know if they can take something from you. Whether it's your money, or whether they want to kidnap your kid, or so on and so forth. So it's important as a man, walk with your back straight, walk with your chest out, pose an actual threat, look like a threat, and you scare off most predators. Some are just really good at seeing through all of that. They're really good at just, I can see he's not what he's pretending to be here. So it's good to actually be that. But walk with your back straight, chest out, and be willing to do what you need to do if push comes to shove. So then, in that sense, you can deter any threats. And then the emotional side of things. So, you've got a bunch of men now that are so scared of offending people that they leave their family at risk. So the transgender shit is an example because there's so many kids Have you heard of the Tavistock Clinic? Christ, there was a clinic in the UK, the Tavistock Clinic, that would diagnose children with gender dysphoria and assign all these treatments, whether it be hormone therapy or whatever the case may be, for these kids. And then it was found out that they misdiagnosed kids who had other conditions that they just didn't look into. They didn't even consider the possibility that maybe this is not gender dysphoria, maybe it's something else. And they diagnosed thousands of children. And how many of those kids transitioned? So that's irreversible bodily transformation. So now they're sterilized. They'll never be the same. That affects their love life. That affects every aspect of their life. And they were sued and they were shut down. They paid incredible amounts of money to these families, and they were shut down and disgraced and all these things. But that's constantly happening. That happens a lot. And people don't care. It's nothing to them, right? A lot of these woke activists types, like, they don't care about that. The sheer amount that people that have detransitioned, or even if you didn't take the drugs and whatnot, you still sacrifice a lot of your youth to this ideology, and missed out on a lot of fun as a young boy or as a young girl because you were convinced that you're a member of the opposite sex. So as a father, there are a lot of dads who will hear their kids say, "Daddy, I think I'm actually this and that," and they don't have the strength to say no. And you don't want to be mean to your kid. You don't want your kid to feel like you don't accept them or anything like that. You want your kid to feel loved and accepted. You want your kid to feel like, my dad sees me for who I am. But when someone is trapped in a delusion, you have to be able to be like, we ain't doing this. No. Like, you have to have the strength as a father to be able to tell your kid, you can't be a member of the opposite sex. Like these kids that are now like identifying as animals. This is a growing trend, by the way. It's not a small thing. There was the Japanese man. I spoke about this in one of my other videos a long time ago. His name is Toro or something. He spent thousands of dollars on this costume. It's a very realistic costume. It's a dog costume. And he put it on and walked around. I don't know if he was in Japan or he was in another country, but he's a Japanese man. He walked around in the dog costume. And he looks like a dog. At first glance, he looks very realistic. It's like, it looks like a dog. But then when you go in closer, you can notice something's off here. I don't know what it is, but this dog is... There's something strange about this dog. Lo and behold, it's a man in a dog costume. Very weird, but people were playing with him and petting him and treating him like he's actually a dog. It was very sick. I'm like, this man is not mentally well. But imagine if my kid comes on that tip. So I lump in the transgender stuff and the race stuff because there's a bunch of kids who believe that they can become another race. They watch these subliminals on YouTube. The subliminals are videos that you can just put them on and then go to sleep, and then the person will be whispering things in your ear and whatnot. And they believe when you do that, you can become Korean through listening to this stuff. So the person will be like, this is a basic rendition of what's going on. It's not actually accurate to what happens in the videos, but so be Korean, whatever the case may be. And then they believe that your eyes will slant and you'll become lighter in complexion and stuff. All this nonsense. And they believe it, like they're genuinely convinced of that. As a father, my job would be for all that, the transgender stuff, the trans species nonsense, the transracial stuff, all that stuff, just be like, no, not happening. I love you, I love you, but no. That's strength, man. Because these kids will be kicking and screaming and swearing that you're oppressing them. because that's what they've been convinced of by the media and the schools they're in and whatnot. That's why I want to homeschool my kids, because a lot of this stuff is taught in the schools. So part of the strength there is being like, no, we're not doing that. Being emotionally strong, not being scared to hurt people's feelings. And protecting your children from all manners of threats, whether it be physical, emotional, psychological threats. So that would be me as a father. And I think as a protector, if I can do those things, respect. Respect. Respect, 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 respect is guaranteed. Obviously, my wife has to share my values. If I'm with one of these woke feminist types, she's not. It's not gonna work. If I'm like, if my kid's like, "Daddy, I'm transgender," and she's like, "Woohoo," and I'm like, "No," she's not gonna respect that. But if I'm with a woman who's traditional, and then our baby comes to us like, "Mommy, I'm transgender," and she's like, "Oh no," and she doesn't know what to do because women are very sensitive and like some women won't be as stern as they should because they don't want to hurt their baby's feelings. I'll be like, nah, it's not gonna happen. Get it together. No, absolutely not. I'll be more delicate than that, like for practical reasons, not because I'm trying to be sensitive to the issue in that very mushy-gushy emotional way, but just because I'm trying to achieve the best possible results. So I will be careful in how I tread. But essentially, I'll be like, no. And if my wife sees that I can be that, and that she doesn't have to be that, at least not all the time, because she can rely on me. When I'm not there, she's gonna have to be that authoritarian. But when I am there, she can rely on me to be that for her. She'll respect me. And then, in all these ways, right? So when we're talking about leading a household, leading my wife, if I can be that for her, all those things, I never have to necessarily be like, respect me, damn it. Follow me, yada yada, all this sort of stuff. I never have to do that because I've led by example. I've done my job. I've done what's required of me. I've gone above and beyond. I haven't just done what's required. I've done more than what's required. She'll just naturally have immense amounts of respect. So I have a lot of work to do to get to that point. I think once I secure my finances and then I just have to focus on building my body and just becoming more emotionally integrated and secure so that I never feel afraid to call water wet, and to just speak the truth even when it's inconvenient. I think once I just fully develop that, it's a work, it's a constant thing, right? But once I get that in its optimal state, then I'll be a good husband, a good father. So there's probably other aspects I'm leaving out, many things, but these are the basics. So yeah, for any young dudes watching this, work on that, man. Work on becoming that, and I think you'll get the respect you want. You shouldn't have to say it. I think if you're at the point where you're literally demanding it vocally, there's something wrong. When you have to tell your wife to respect you, when you have to tell her to follow you, I think obviously you have these conversations before you get married. Like so how do you feel about being led in a relationship? How do you feel about traditional structures? You have these conversations. I'm reading a book about homeschooling right now. That's another example. Like I'm preparing myself. So when I have these conversations with my to-be wife, she's gonna see like this guy's prepared. Like he's thought about these things. He's not just diving in unprepared. Like he's actually given this a lot of thought. Respect. Respect. Like you earn it. Respect is earned. You don't just give someone respect for nothing, you know? You have to earn that shit. So yeah. Okay. I've rambled. I like this ramble session. This is a good ramble session. It's nice fleshing out my thoughts. I like to pray at the end of my videos just to impart blessing and peace and all that excellent stuff. So dear God, thank you for this individual watching this right now. Thank you for making them whole and unique. Thank you that you're guiding them on a path towards peace, prosperity, just flourishing. Thank you that you're blessing them with enlightenment, oh God, so that when they're navigating this world, they know what to do, they know who to be around, they know what to stay away from. And I thank you that your presence is constantly felt in their life, Lord, so that you're helping them become the best version of themselves and you're equipping them to, just be the best person they can be. Bless them with good people around in their life so that they can be encouraged and they can be driven and that they can just achieve more and more because of the support they have in the form of their family, their friends, the community. That you're maintaining the people that are already there. Just blessing the people that are already there in their life, Lord. Good health, long life, and happiness over this individual, over all the people they care about. In my name I pray. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.